listening to TMZ Movie Crashers.
Welcome back to TMZ's Movie Crashers. I'm your host, Fabian Garcia from TMZ.
And I'm your host, Paige Catton from toofab.
Lots of movie news this week. We will spare you the details of each and every little story that we're not going to cover today. You know, a lot of big movie deaths. Pat Carroll died. Nichelle Nichols died. What's her name? Mary Alice died from the Matrix series and Fences and lots of other films. So big movie deaths there. Arnold Schwarzenegger turned 75. Sylvester Stallone still punching in this very public Rocky saga where he's griping about not owning the rights. That continues. There's some chatter that Legally Blonde 3 might come about in the wake of the success of Top Gun 2. And of course, Brad Pitt living his best fashion life on the red carpet during this Bullet Train press run. You love to see it. He is in tons of wacky outfits. And we're going to talk about Bullet Train in full next week because that's coming out this weekend. So we're not going to cover all that. Where we are going to start today, though, is with the big motion picture. This is our biggest movie story of the week. And really nothing was bigger, in my opinion, than this Ana de Armas controversy about her accent, which seeps through in her performance as Marilyn Monroe in the new Netflix movie Blonde, which is coming out at the end of September. The reason everyone became aware of this and had a lot of things to say about it is because Netflix actually premiered the first full trailer for Blonde this past week. And sure enough, Ana de Armas, her Spanish accent does in fact come through. I would argue it's evident, whether to what degree it's evident, to what degree it's actually there or not there, how heavy it is. That's kind of all in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think anybody can deny that it is in fact there and it's somewhat noticeable. And look, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it. Before we get into opinions here, let's actually play a bit of the trailer where you can kind of hear this accent. Let's watch that clip from Netflix right now.
I can't face doing another scene with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn doesn't exist. When I come out of my dressing room, I'm Norma Jean. I'm still her when the camera's rolling.
So there it is, the first full trailer for Blonde. Obviously, that was just a small portion of it. If you watch the full thing, you'll hear Ana more, and I think you'll hear the accent more. I certainly heard it there. Again, Ana de Armas is a Cuban actress. She came to the States in adulthood. And one of the arguments being made here is that the accent is distracting, and some people are expressing disappointment in the fact that it's still there. They're saying that the transformation, if you will, into Marilyn isn't really complete. And I got to say, I'm just going to hop right in. Yeah. I'm on that train. I completely agree with that. And this is not knocking Ana de Armas specifically. This is nothing personal against her. I think she's a fine actress. She's a good actress. But in my opinion, this, to me, kind of separates her from great actors. And we'll see what the movie actually shows. Maybe maybe she captures the essence and the mannerisms. Obviously, she has the look down. But to me, I don't know why we're moving the goalpost for Ana de Armas and why we're lowering standards. We all know when it comes to an iconic role like this, and I know people say, oh, it's not really a biopic. Stop it. Someone is depicting Marilyn Monroe in a serious fashion, which that's what's happening here. So you know that, in my opinion, for a role like that, you got to have it all, including the voice. And I don't understand what Netflix was thinking. I don't know what Andrew Dominic was thinking or the producers of this film were thinking. Obviously, Ana has the look down. That's all fine and good, but a lot of people can get the look down. That's the easy part. The voice is quintessential, in my opinion. Yes, she's got the breathiness of Marilyn. That's fine, but the accent is there, and it is distracting. And again, nothing against Ana de Armas, but if you can't do the Marilyn Monroe voice to a T, including her all-American accent, you don't deserve to be in that role. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. And again, I don't know why we're doing somersaults over here trying to appease Ana de Armas. I don't know if we feel bad for her. I don't know if we want to be nice, and why a lot of people are treating this with kid gloves. I'm taking the kid gloves off, and I'm just saying it's a miscast. I'm deeply disappointed. My excitement for this movie is deflated. I don't take it nearly as serious as I was taking it, because the last thing I'll say is, before I pass it off to you, Paige, is I was curious when Ana was cast. I was like, wow,
We talked about that too.
We did.
Yeah.
I was like, that's interesting casting.
Yeah.
I know she's a Cuban actress. I know she has that accent. I will be very curious and interested to see if she can overcome this accent. If she does, frankly, that lays the trail for an Oscar, in my opinion, especially if this movie comes out to be as Oscar buzzy as they say it is. I was like, wow, that's like Oscar bait type stuff if she can get the accent down. If she can lose her accent, get the Marilyn voice down. As it turns out, at least from what we can see so far, that is not the case. And to me, that just turns this into just another kind of throwaway Marilyn Monroe movie. And by the way, before people start accusing me of being xenophobic and racist, and because there's a lot of people saying that too.
No.
I just want to say my name is Fabian Garcia, and I am also of Cuban descent. So hush on that front, okay? What do you think, Paige? Am I off base here?
Okay, so I actually disagree with you a little bit.
Interesting.
And
okay.
I brought my points because I had a feeling you were going to go that route. So
Yeah.
It's usually, usually go with the court of public opinion. I'm actually going against it, which is kind of like a little switching it up here. So while I admit that her Cuban accent is definitely present in the trailer, specifically in certain words, a lot of the R's, you can really hear it, I feel like.
Yep.
And maybe I'm a glass half full kind of girl. I admit I'm like that. But I think people are being a little rash and with the criticism, and I disagree with it for 3 reasons specifically. So it appears that what we hear of her voice is from one particular scene, because I watched this trailer many times, and it seems like the voiceover is from her conversation with Bobby Cannavale. He's playing like the athlete or whatever. So
right.
But even if it is one scene or one scene's put together, I still don't think this is enough of her voice and her portrayal to slam it yet, or to slam the entire film yet. Because again, we haven't seen the whole film. This is a 2-minute trailer, and she doesn't even talk for the entire thing. So that's one thing. But even if she does sound like this for the entire film, it doesn't really matter in my opinion, because it brings me to my next point. And you briefly said this, but I think it matters more than what you mentioned it as. So it is fiction. This film is fiction. It's not really a true biopic. It's based on a novel. So in my opinion, they could have made it whatever they wanted to. They couldn't have Marilyn be Cuban or black or something if they wanted to completely change it, because it isn't a true biopic.
Right.
I feel like if it was a true biopic, we could be even more critical of her voice. I understand that people again, I understand that her accent is coming through, but I feel like people shouldn't be focusing on it as much as they are, especially because we haven't seen it, and especially because it's fiction. But the most important point, and I think this is, in my opinion, when it comes to any sort of biopic or any sort of portrayal of a famous figure, in my opinion, if you have the family or the estate's support, that's the main opinion that matters, is what I always think.
Okay.
So her estate, the president of entertainment at the Authentic Brands Group, which owns the Marilyn Monroe estate, and the president and chief marketing officer of the same group, both praised Anna's portrayal. Mark Rosen, the president of entertainment, made a statement saying, he said, based on the trailer alone, quote, it looks like Anna was a great casting choice as she captured Marilyn's glamour, humanity, and vulnerability. Can't wait to see the film in its entirety. And then today, the president chief marketing officer, Nick Woodhouse, told TMZ, Anna has artfully captured the essence of Marilyn's voice. Marilyn was known for her breathiness, which was actually a tactic taught to her by a speech therapist during her childhood to help her overcome a stutter. So in my opinion, if you have the family or the estate supports, that's the only approval that really matters. And again, I admit what you're saying. I will say, I admit a little bit that I am a little disappointed that you can hear her accent. But then when I think about all these things, that it's not, that we're only seeing one scene, that it's not a true biopic, it's based on a novel, and the family and the estate has the support, then I'm like, you know what? I think we're being too critical at this moment.
Okay, those are fair points. 2 last things I'll say before we move on is, as far as the estate, I agree with you on the family front. If the family comes out and supports it, that to me is like a good cosign, and that should lower the temperature a little bit. But when it comes to estates, I got to be honest, estates are cold, empty, money-making entities, okay? Michael Jackson's estate has nothing to do with Michael Jackson himself. These are just a bunch of random businessmen that control his assets and his image. His family's not really tied to that estate. Same thing with Marilyn Monroe. She didn't really have much family. This is just her estate. To your point, her estate coming out and supporting it really means nothing to me. Those are just empty words, in my opinion, because that's kind of how I view estates in general, especially when the family is not really directly involved, which is the case for Marilyn Monroe. The other last thing I'll say is that Anna Armas kind of made a big deal about this. I think that's why this is kind of blown up as big as it is.
I was going to note
she
that
said
too.
that she did 9 months of dialect training, made it seem like it was really intensive. And that kind of, to me, suggested that she had gotten it down. So I think she maybe misled people, whether it was intentional or not, who knows? But that's kind of why this is also kind of blowing up right now, because people are like, wait a minute, you did 9 months of dialect training. Where's all that training if you just sound, frankly, like yourself? That debate will rage on. We will leave it there, and we're going to move on.
We'll come back to this. Let's be real.
We'll definitely, we will.
Months. Yeah.
We'll come back to it when the movie actually comes out, and we'll dissect it in full. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment, the Hollywood Hoedown. Hey, there we go. This is where we talk about breakout stories of the week, and the one that really stood out to me this week was the fact that Jason Momoa sort of kind of revealed publicly that Ben Affleck is going to be in Aquaman 2, and that in what capacity, we don't really know exactly, whether it's going to be cameo, whether it's going to be an integral part of the storyline. I guess we'll find out, but they're doing reshoots for Aquaman 2 at the Warner Brothers lot. And it sounds like some Warner Brothers does like tours. They do studio tours, and it looks like some people noticed Ben and noticed Jason. And instead of that leaking out kind of through Twitter or whatever, Jason said, screw it. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. Bruce Wayne is here. Batfleck is here. And he did this funny video. Let's actually watch that real quick here.
Well, it's not a secret anymore, is it? Sorry, children. That's what happens, Warner Brothers. When you walk out of your set, and there's our fans. Hey, guys, have a good time. Jameson. Well, we tried to keep it a secret. All right, here we go. Thank you. Oh, sorry, bro. Whoops.
So there it is. Jason, basically just going public saying that, yes, Ben Affleck is part of the movie. He is on set doing reshoots with him. By the way, I don't know who Ben clearly did not want to be on camera at the moment or be talked to by Jason. I think he was on the phone with somebody, probably on the phone with Jennifer Lopez.
They took a photo together, though. He also posted a photo of them together. He posted a photo of them two together. And sure enough, Ben Affleck is in his, Bruce Wayne getup. It's exactly. Suit, yeah. So here's the thing. To me, I thought this was already out that Ben Affleck was going to be in this movie. Perhaps I was just mistaken thinking that. I think what this sort of crystallizes for me is really just how much of a mess the DC extended universe is right now, especially when it comes to like The Flash, which is coming out, and Aquaman 2, which is going to come out later. And because these last movies, The Flash, Aquaman 2, these are kind of the last movies, as far as I know, that kind of deal with Batfleck, that deal with Henry Cavill as Superman, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and obviously Ezra Miller as The Flash. And after that, I believe from what I've heard and all the reports, they're going to be rebooting this whole thing and just kind of starting fresh. So it's a weird time for Warner Brothers, because they obviously have to get these movies out, right? They have to get past these movies, but as they do that, it creates more buzz. It creates more uncertainty about what exactly is going on. Is Ben Affleck actually back? Is he not back? Are they just trying to wrap this up now? And why are they doing reshoots with Ben Affleck? I thought Michael Keaton was the new Batman going forward. Like, what is going on? And that's really my kind of takeaway from this thing. It leads to a lot more questions than answers. And again, it really just kind of confirms to me that Warner is just in tatters when it comes to their superhero IPs, and whatever their playbook is and whatever their plan is, they have got to figure it out soon and just move on. Like, I'm just like, what are we doing here? Ben Affleck is back. Like, I just want these movies to come out, and I just want a clear plan going forward. Marvel has its shit together. DC needs to get its stuff together. And by the way, last point I'll make is, what's his name? Alan Horn, I believe his name is. He is a former Warner Brothers executive, like a creative chief officer. He was at the helm during the Harry Potter years, brought a lot of success to the studio. Then he went to go work for Disney for quite a time. He has recently been brought back to Warner Discovery now as a consultant, full-time consultant. So I think the fact that they hired him again shows that they really are trying to get their ducks in a row. But yeah, like, this is like a fun, silly story. But again, it just
to me is like, what are we doing here? Like Ben Affleck's back. Like, okay, but like, what about Michael Keaton? Like, what is going on? What do you think, Paige?
Honestly, I agree with what you're saying here because first of all, the main thing that I was confused about. Okay, Ben Affleck said in 2019 that he was retiring as Batman. Okay.
Yes.
Then it was announced that he was going to be in The Flash.
Right.
Okay, alongside Michael Keaton and then they said Michael Keaton was going to be the new like DCEU. That was what was believed, or at least what I thought. They were saying that he was going to be the new DCEU Batman. Was Michael Keaton was going to come back. But then now Affleck, even though he said he retired and then he was coming back in The Flash, now he's going to be in Aquaman 2. I thought that was really weird. And I also think it's bizarre that the way it was announced, I'll come back to the announcement itself, but I mean, the way, the fact that he's going to be in the film, but the announcement itself really was bizarre to me. Yeah. Because, okay, first of all, how could Warner Brothers not think that people would see them on the lot? Like, I don't know if you've ever done a Warner Brothers studio tour. They literally show you freaking everything. Like, you're literally, you can see everything. You see celebrities, you see stars on the lot. Like, it happens. Like, it's really cool. But like, how could they not think like, oh, we're going to have Jason Momoa and Ben Affleck on the freaking lot and people aren't going to notice? Like, are you dumb? And then even if they wanted it to leak, why didn't they just announce it at Comic-Con? Hello? All they had was like freaking Shazam. Like this would have been a great Comic-Con announcement. It would have been a great Comic-Con announcement.
I agree.
They had Ben Affleck come out. I mean, he was, honeymooning with J-Lo, but like, come on. They should have done this if they really wanted to make it a bigger deal, which they need. They need that excitement. They need people to be stoked about something.
Yes.
And having it just on freaking Instagram, someone could have missed that. Like, what if like they don't even follow, you know what I mean? Like, that bothered me.
I agree. Missed opportunity, and Warner Brothers is just messy. They don't have their stuff together.
It's such a hot mess. And then the overall, honestly, like, and I don't want to I don't want to bash Ben Affleck, but I've never been a big fan of Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah, I hear you.
He's probably like my least favorite. I mean, I've never seen the animated ones, but out of the live action ones, I'm not a huge fan.
Right.
And I was kind of like, okay, he's done. He's talked about how the role was so hard for him and his family and all this shit. I'm like, then why are you doing it again? And then I thought, now this is just totally a possible theory, but if they added him late, like if he wasn't in the original shoot, if he was just brought in for reshoots, because if he was in the original shoot, I think we would have known. But I wonder if it has to do with them cutting down like Amber Heard's time.
That's a good theory.
And then them sliding in like, oh, we need something else to little sparkle. Let's get a Batman cameo in there.
You know what? That's a good theory. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, the fact that they're doing reshoots at all, I think might in fact suggest that. We're going to obviously see when the movie comes out, but I agree that the Amber Heard backlash has gotten so large in the wake of the verdict that Warner might in fact be making a move like that. So maybe they needed that big splashy cameo or something. Else. Yes, I agree. I mean,
we'll see what he's going to be doing, but I thought this whole thing was just bizarre, and I think DC needs to get their shit together, as you said. So
100% agree on all those points, and we will leave that there. That debate will rage on, I'm sure. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment. What'd you see? What'd you think? And we're going to quickly talk about BJ Novak's movie that came out this past week, Vengeance. It was like kind of
a dark comedy.
It was a dark comedy. The DC, the animated dog DC superhero movie came out. I don't even know what the name of it is. Frankly, I don't care.
Super Pets.
Okay, whatever.
I heard that was good, to be honest.
Maybe it is good. I don't go watch unless Minions is a rare exception, but I don't go watch kids stuff. We're going to talk about a serious movie. BJ Novak's Vengeance was that serious adult movie that was out in theaters. Kind of a slow week in movies this past week. And I know people are talking about Purple Hearts on Netflix and what's the other one on Hulu?
Not Okay.
I know people, that's the hot buzzy movies, but those
I watched both of those.
I don't consider those real movies. I'm sorry. I know people love them, some Dylan O'Brien, etc. Let's talk about a real movie that was actually in theaters, Vengeance. Look, we both watched it. I was thoroughly impressed. I like BJ Novak. Obviously, I'm a big Office fan. He's a great writer. I think he's a better writer than an actor, in my opinion.
And this was his directorial debut.
It was his correct. That's right. And he's obviously the lead star too. Like I said, better creative than he is an actor, in my opinion. But with that said, I still think he got the job done in the lead role. The movie's basically about this New York City journalist / writer / podcaster, excuse me, who basically gets notified that an old flame / old hookup of his that he doesn't really even remember has apparently passed away deep in the heart of Texas. And this girl's brother's hitting him up, and he's acting like BJ Novak was deeply involved in her life, was actually her boyfriend. This is all news to BJ Novak. And all of a sudden, he's roped into going into the funeral. And then when he's there, a mystery starts to kind of reveal itself about what exactly happened to this girl. Her name is Abigail. That's the character's name in the movie. And he starts going down this rabbit hole of whether, because the girl's family, especially the brother, who is such a character.
Boyd Holbrook.
Yes.
He's hilarious.
He is great. And they think that she might have been murdered. And there's all these conspiracy theories and things like
was that they said it was an overdose, but the family doesn't believe it was an overdose.
Correct. Yeah. That her official cause of death was an overdose. The family is not buying it. BJ Novak starts to investigate. And he also says, this is a good opportunity to actually make a podcast about this story, about why the family believes these things. What does it say about America? He's trying to get to like a bigger point, and he starts covering the story. But as he gets down the rabbit hole, some things start to reveal themselves that maybe there is in fact something to her being murdered. Maybe there's something deeper there, and it starts to unravel. And it's such a fascinating movie. It's lots of humor throughout. It's funny, but I got to say, when it needs to be serious, it is serious. And it's a good movie. That's kind of the all I'll say about that as far as the plot. Lots of twists and turns. Ashton Kutcher is in this movie, and I don't want to spoil too much. His character plays a big role. Ashton Kutcher, in my opinion, really stole this movie. He's a scene stealer. And I know he tends to play a lot of comedies. He's known as a goofy character. But when Ashton Kutcher wants to be serious, he can be. And he is deadly serious in this movie. Again, I'm not going to reveal too much about what his character does or who he is. But
yeah, we don't want to spoil this because you need to see this because there's so many twists and turns.
I agree. I agree. And at the end, Ashton Kutcher and BJ Novak are having a conversation about Abigail, the girl who's died, and about society. And there's a lot of deep themes that he touches on about, do we actually care about each other? Do people actually matter? Or does the idea of a person, is that all that really matters? Especially in this day and age of digital media and social media. I got to say, a lot of the deep and frankly dark themes that Ashton Kutcher gets to in this really good monologue at the end, it kind of reminded me of some Nope stuff. Like Nope kind of got to some of these themes about the idea of spectacle and like what we really cherish in society today as people. And Ashton Kutcher's character touches on a lot of that. And it was very philosophical. It reminded me of like some Nietzsche, like some like German philosophy from like the 19th century, like very, nihilism, existentialism, like that type of stuff. And it's a great movie. I really recommend people go see it. I know it's a smaller film. It's not playing in every theater, but if you can go catch Vengeance, really good film. What do you think about it, Paige?
Okay, so it's so funny. I don't know if you just saw my reaction when you brought up Nope, because when I was taking my notes and preparing for the podcast today, and I was writing down like my opinion, like, oh, very thought provoking, like the deep theme, blah 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 blah. And I thought about Ashton Kutcher's monologue, and I go, part of it kind of reminds me of Nope, like the whole idea of spectacle. So when you said that, I was like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. And I was like, am I being too off here? So I'm glad that you brought that up because I thought the same thing. And it's obviously completely different film, like the way that it's explained, it's different, but the whole underlying theme is very similar and it really makes you think.
It does.
So I will say this is definitely a dark comedy. Like it was funny. Like it was like, there was a lot of funny moments, but it was definitely like a murder mystery at its core.
It was.
And it had
absolutely
a lot to do with family. And I thought that was really moving because I was like, it like touched on so many different like genres in like one film. And I was like, I think what I was most impressed with was how much like the writing itself and like the whole storyline. I thought it was something I've never seen before. Yeah. Like obviously you said the whole like some of the themes were similar, but like the actual storyline, I thought that was so creative. And then there are some twists and turns. I'm not going to reveal them. There are some twists and turns. Like you think it's going to go one way and it goes the other way. Because I was like shocked. Like I actually saw it with my dad.
Nice.
And he's like, what? Like we were like so shocked. We're like, wait, that's not right. Like what? Like, so I thought that was awesome because I love when films do that, especially like this film totally could have gone like a predictable route, but it definitely had some twists and turns. And I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it was a shot out of the park for his directorial debut.
I agree.
I thought it was great, and I thought his acting was good, but
Sure.
I do think that the writing and the directing and the producing obviously was great. And I also agree with you that Ashton Kutcher was the standout in this. I also thought that Issa Rae did a really good job. She was she was like a good comedic relief, but at the same time, she offered like I feel like every character was like had like funny moments, but they also like would go deep. Like characters you didn't think would go deep, like the family, they were like perceived as like this big joke, but then the family got kind of deep. And I was like, okay, I just, again, all the underlying themes of family and spectacle and how America, how we believe things and what we believe and what we tell ourselves in order to feel better. It's just so many things that are relevant today.
Totally.
And they filmed this a couple years ago. I believe it was before the pandemic or something like that. It was filmed years ago. So I'm like, this is even more relevant than ever. And I thought it was just, again, a great film, a wild ride, really makes you think. Definitely go see it. I definitely think everyone should go see it.
I agree. The themes touched on are fantastic. I love movies that are about middle America because I feel like oftentimes middle America is overlooked in pop culture. This movie captures like this note in the middle of nowhere, Texas, this community. It's great. And again, the theme of like personal connection. What does that actually mean to us in this day and age, right? Like a lot of that is heavily touched on. And people are, you know what I mean? Like, I know like we treat people these days like as commodities. You're on to the next hookup culture. That's all touched on here.
That's all touched on here. Dating apps, texting.
Everything, yes. But at the end of the day, people are, everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own uniqueness. And, so really good movie. Go see it, Vengeance. And with that, we are going to leave you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Catch us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart. We're on YouTube. We'll be on the website. And yes, we will check in with you guys next time. Take it easy.
See ya.